This episode of Speakers of Fightland is made possible by our generous patrons. Special thanks to our Supreme and Master Sparrowkeel, Remy Asalia, Saray Cypher, Omechi Cat Comet, Erisu Yamakawa, Arcadia Lunashine, Dramavian, Nina Grimstarter, Casey Schaefer, Daimos, Sesirful Alirafu, Lily Black, Hans Grenade, Sapa Chakwatol, Faris Gentoru, Cletus Oreo, Quicklevin, Luke Leonatrell, Stella Bell, Ceres, Icy Lee, Lyria Rain, Pamela Isley, Umbral Wind, Naive Arino, Celeste Razgris, Elenriel Maximus, Edwin, Bob CC, Fabson Voidworm, Rami Maverick, Codred No, Mira Miri, Winebow Brood, Bay Barbalay, Kaiser Regina, Uzora Akari, AJ Brainswordson, Suno Shikano, Yowie Wowie, Cheshire Saltiri, Congro, and Gideon Ura. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/speakersxiv. Thank you.
This is Speakers of Fightland.
Good evening, ARCians. Welcome to Speakers of Fightland episode 69. That's not the episode we're in. 211. I'm Lakeel Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Georgi Wiston and Rollo Des. You'll notice that things are different behind me. Don't panic. I've just moved my setup.
I'm scared of change.
I know.
Yeah, it weirded me out a little bit, to be honest.
We'll get through it together.
Did you always have that Realm Reborn?
Yeah, this is an old.
Cloth?
This is for the OG viewers. This used to be in the background of the very first Speakers of Fightland episodes. But yes, so things will get better. You can hear the audio is kind of weird. It's because all of these, these aren't all up yet. So things are, yes, so we have to deal with that for now. Right, welcome to the episode. It's 211, September 5th, 2020. Don't know why I'm putting so much emphasis on the date as if it's a very important date. It is not an important date. It's actually quite a boring date because not much has happened in terms of news. I will just give a heads up that since I have moved my setup, all of the audio is going to be weird today. Once. We're going to have to run every intro twice for segments. Okay. That's just how it is. But that's fine. Today we'll be reading an interview by PCGamer, which is essentially just Yoshi-P talking about bringing A Realm Reborn back. It's like a retrospective because it's 7 years, well it was, on August 27th since A Realm Reborn relaunched, or sorry, 14 relaunched as A Realm Reborn. We'll also talk about Ishgard Restoration today because in just a few days there will be an update to that content, so we'll discuss that. And we'll be reading MogMail, speakersxiv.com/MogMail. Stay tuned for the post-show. We'll be reading questions from the Syndicate. Haven't put this in the show notes. It's still up for... I have it, but we'll see if we'll premiere Fall and Rise today.
Oh.
I mean, it's ready, but we'll see. All right. Channel updates. Forgot to talk about this before we went live, but when we talked about the Vice speakers last time, we didn't say who they were. So I think maybe we should explain who they are.
Figure it out. Just find them in the chat.
I think it happened because we weren't sure if we were going to explain who what Vice speakers were last episode. There's Circa Barricale, Faris Gentoru, and Kamir Maboy, also known as Camiloso in chat. So you recognize those names. That's that out of the way.
Congratulations.
Is that it?
Congratulations! I thought we did the congratulations last time.
Second round, why not?
Yeah.
You might hear from them this week?
Yes. Maybe. Yes, that's true. Updates for Vice speakers in Vice speakers chat soon. Okay, enough of that. let's talk about what we've done this week in 14. Who wants to? I think Rollo started last time, so Georgi.
I did a lot more dancer leveling. Did I talk about? Did I last week? Did I talk about how I got dancer to 70 and I did all the?
Yeah, you said you headed the quests. Yeah.
You mentioned the quest.
Oh yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did hate the quests. They were dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than that, dancer is now at 78, so it's almost capped. But besides that, I still need to do the custom deliveries to get the thing that everyone is showing.
Oh
off.
yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Shit, I have to remember that. Yeah,
I wasn't even doing it, to be honest. I was like,
yeah,
I'll catch up on deliveries later.
And
I saw it, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, maybe I'll start.
Yeah. I was tempted to drop out of it because the story's kind of sleeper, but it's yeah, it's a cool mount. I'm pretty sure Mela approves. Has Mela told us what he thinks about this mount? Because he loves the dragon mount. He wants Nidhogg as a mount. So
he said he said it's what he wanted the wyvern mount to look like.
Right. Okay, sorry. What were you saying, Georgi?
I was well. The last thing I was going to mention is not really in game, but I finally got my art book, so now I can have my.
Hey! Oh my God! Oh, don't show that.
Yeah, I know.
That was cut off.
Which
Thank
art
God.
book did you get?
Actually, the code's on the back anyway, so I could have shown that side.
Right. Yeah.
I got the wind up Dulia Chai.
Yeah. Oh God, I
so you
forgot
get
about
the
mine.
Shadowbringers one.
I don't even know where I put the art book. I forgot that the Dulia Chai minion code is in there. Right. Rollo, what have you done?
I've been sinking my teeth into Black Mage, giving it a sincere try. Because I have it to 70 on my alt, but I got it to 70 more so by chance, because we would be doing weekly streams. It'd be like, what am I gonna run as? I guess we'll do Alliance Roulette as Black Mage.
Yeah.
I've been given a shot, and I really want to know, why do they? I mean, they've gotten rid of most of them, but why did they leave like beginner traps in a rotation at all? Like, and I don't mean like Blizzard 1 or even Blizzard 2. Why is Scathe in here? You shouldn't use this ever. Like, as a new player, you would think like maybe like you figured out what's the deal with Black Mage. Okay, like, oh, I'm always casting shit, right? I'm standing still. I use Scathe maybe when I really, really have to move, and triple cast and swift cast is down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does 100 potency.
Yeah.
With a chance to double.
Chad is bringing up that it is essentially for moving before you get triple cast.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to say this. I think Black Mage is one of those classes I never want to play at anything below 70. Like, I can deal with other jobs at like in Totorak or whatever. Not fucking Black Mage. Despise it.
I'll say level 50 and below Black Mage is nostalgic for me because it was one of the first jobs that I leveled. So
yeah,
because it essentially feels exactly the same as it did back in the day. It hasn't really lost much from its rotation, so it just takes me back to 2013, I guess.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Freeze is useful though, and Freeze has just AOE rotation. You need it. But Black Mage is fun. I'm sort of I try not to look up guides for like rotations and stuff. Yeah. At least while I'm leveling, so I can like have the fun of figuring it out. And it's pretty nice. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with Thundercloud proc sometimes though. I'm like, should I hold on to it until I get to the ice phase, or should I use it as soon as it comes up? But that's I don't know.
I would hold on to it until the ice phase, unless it's about to run out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Okay. I haven't done much. I'm like at the end of monk leveling. I still haven't played monk at like actual level, so I still don't quite know what it's like end game wise. But it's monk.
Do you have any concept of what it's like at 70 plus?
Yes. I've done
Okay.
some content at level 70, but yeah, it's not. Yes, because I've been leveling trusts, so I've
Okay.
definitely I've tried it, but it's
They
still
won't judge
a
you.
mess. No, they won't judge me. It's safe. It's safe.
Yeah, that's why you level all your shit while you're streaming, so that
Yeah.
the people
Yeah.
in the chat can be nice to you and not bully you as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That's recent events. I've also been crafting and doing the airship. No, I keep saying airships. Sub
Subs.
stuff, but I just realized that I took some time to like get into like what you need to be good at subs, and it's so it's not complicated, but there's like a build. So I need to
Like for the sub or
yeah, for the sub, for the
Okay.
parts for the sub. Because I
Oh, that
always
makes
thought
sense.
you just get the best shit and just slap that on. That's not how that works, because they all have different types of, like, they all excel in different things, and then they have minus, if you, so there's a lot of stuff. So I need to craft a lot of parts in the FC. So I'm
Are
gonna
you
go
doing
broke
this
again.
in preparation for Ishgard restoration for some reason, or you
No, I just
doing
want
it?
we want
He
the
wants to
new
make money.
walls.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
well, new walls and then money.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well, the money is for if we move.
yes. Oh, yeah, the money for actual moving. Yeah. Oh, you know what? We could get the walls and then sell the walls, because they are worth a lot of money. And
Which
then
walls particularly are you talking about again?
the
Just so people know.
new blacksmith walls, the ones that came with this patch.
Sorry.
know
You
the
were
wa-
saying walls. I kept thinking like wallpaper. and
Oh,
like,
no.
what
Yeah,
wallpaper
the
do they
housing
have?
skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Exterior walls.
Exterior walls, yes.
Mm.
Okay. Let's jump into recent events. It's going to be quiet when we first roll it, so pretend this doesn't happen. It's time for recent events. Silence.
Oh my god, it's so quiet. Oh no. The silence.
Okay.
Deafening.
And then we go back to us. Hello. Let's do it again. Okay, in recent events, Pulse, the Final Fantasy XIV Remix album pre-orders are available now. 2 songs are available now on Spotify, Apple, and
Yes.
Amazon. However, don't expect any more. There will not be any more songs. Confirmed by Soken. You have to buy the CD.
Yes. It's very expensive,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you compare it to the price of the actual soundtracks, which are $50 for like close to 60 or 70 songs. You're paying $35 for like 15 songs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're amazing remixes. Let's. Oh, actually, are they up here? Oh, they are on Spotify.
So the 2 songs that are on Spotify and Apple and other streaming services are the Through the Maelstrom remix and the When Angels Wake remix.
Yeah.
Tiny remixes. I don't like it very much.
No.
It kind of reminds me of. That seems alright. I don't know.
Yeah. There are previews for all the songs available, so you can listen to short snippets of each of them. There's a new Tales from the Shadows story out now. A dream partnership.
Weren't we supposed to read these one day? I mean, as an audio thing, wasn't that?
Yes.
Yes, Rollo. A long time ago, that was the thing. Used to be It used to be like a section that I had prepared on the website even for it, but we never did. We did one. Well, I did one, and then someone was left in charge of it. I think it was Mela. And
Someone was next. I remember that.
Yeah, and they
think
just never did it. And I even said, all you need to do is read this text. You don't need to do anything else. I will just take that file and I will edit it, everything. Nothing came. So we just gave up.
I'm launching my own I'm gonna start reading them. This is a promise to you guys.
Okay. All right.
I'll read them.
Okay.
But the disappointing part is that you have to deal with my voice. So.
Well, we would if we were to do it now, we would have to start from like Tales from
Oh yeah.
the Calamity, and then do
yeah.
the whole Tales from thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No promise. This is not a promise. This is a joke promise. But yes, the new Tales from the Shadows, a Dream partnership. It's about Seto and his Tales from the Shadows.
I believe it's how Seto met Ardbert. Don't ask us how it goes because we haven't read it yet.
No.
I've heard it's quite sad.
Yes. It's
Next week.
Yeah, it comes out on a Thursday, isn't it? Every Thursday, which is a
Yes.
terrible time. It just also happened to be my hell day, so I had no
Let's say
time.
we were moving,
Yes,
so-
Rollo, I was
Yes.
a sausage of pain. I was a sausage of
mean?
pain.
Stop.
What-
No, that's a good question, Rollo. What does that mean?
Don't worry about it, but I was definitely that. Moving on. All worlds maintenance on September 8th in preparation of patch 5.31. There's maintenance as expected from 6 a.m. Why am I saying GMT? Well, that's for Iceland, I guess. 6 a.m. To 10 a.m. GMT, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. BST, and whatever that is for you North Americans. That's
This will already have happened if you're watching
if you're watching on
this podcast.
Oh yeah, it probably will. September 8th. That's on That's on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it'll most likely have happened when you're watching this on YouTube. And the patch will be out then. It's not... I was getting overly excited because after Hell Day and Sausage of Pain, I, for some reason, thought it was 5.35. And I was getting ready for like, oh, finally some relic grinding. But then it was right back into Sausage of Pain because we are just getting Ishgard Restoration, which is still good. It's good if you're into crafting. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But before that, there are some new outfits that... well, actually, this is about Ishgard Restoration. So they released some of the new crafter... This is the crafter gear?
Looks bad.
Possibly.
I'm going to do a
It's
Yoshi-P.
either crafted or reward.
Look at that. Beautiful.
It's either going to be crafted or it's going to be obtained with Sky Builder's scripts.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's from the... Yeah. There's also some
You
nice...
think it looks bad, Rollo?
Yeah, I don't really like the look of it.
Really?
Yeah, it's got like... I mean, I know what they're going for. It's kind of like scaly, kind of like a dragon skin kind of thing.
It's kind of...
I assume it's from like
Yeah.
malted dragon scales.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just...
It's alright. It's alright to me. There's also some
maybe
new...
if you dyed it. Maybe if you
Oh,
dyed
yeah.
it, so.
Hopefully it's dyeable. There's also some new cute umbrellas.
Oh,
Look at that.
plaid.
Some plaid umbrellas. Also, this is not Mog Station. This is all supposed to be in-game. Probably from Kupo Fortune or something like that. However, something that is on the Mog... Well, keep saying Mog Station. Let's just normalize Mog Station as just being... It's a redirect to the Final Fantasy's online store. What a horrible name. It's not as catchy as Mog Station. I'm sorry. And also,
Mog Station
still exists. So I will just
That's
keep
just
call
easy
it...
to say Mog Station.
Yeah, Mog Station. You know, everyone knows what I mean when I say Mog Station. On the Korean Mog Station, there is now a new emote. Finger Snap. But it is not Emmett Selk's snap.
No.
It is just a new kind of snap. Looks
It's similar.
Sort of?
cool. It's similar. It's similar enough that you can, you know, yeah. But it probably means that we're not getting Emmett snap because they wouldn't do it twice.
Maybe we'll get the...
That'd be very-
hand,
We might get the
Yeah,
hand
that
wave,
one we can probably get. Yeah.
but yeah, they're highly unlikely to implement 2 snap emotes in game. Sadly.
Yeah. So yeah, there's also like an effect when they snap, like a big thing.
Oh, it'll be cute.
Yeah.
I might get that one if it ever comes stateside or stateside. Sorry, the global release, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it.
To the west.
There you go.
Right. So let's talk about Ishgard Restoration. Getting back into the upcoming patch. The rankings will begin again coming this patch. It'll last for 10 days. It ends on September 18th at 6 GMT, 7 BST. Yeah. Go on.
Was it 10 days last time?
I feel like last time was chaos. I don't remember.
Odd choice for length of time, but
yeah.
I thought it was a week, but maybe it was 10 days.
It was. I think it just felt confusing.
It's been many months.
Yeah. I just remember being very confused because we didn't know how long it would last. I feel like we didn't know then, so we were just waiting for it to end. Okay, so yes, so during the aforementioned period, each player's Skyward points will be tallied and updated on the lodestone every day at 9 GMT. Why are they giving the times in GMT? It's very odd.
Because every other time zone is related to plus or minus GMT, so I guess it's easier for people to do the math.
Yeah, I guess. This
is fairly time sensitive, I guess, so.
Yeah. It's funny because we have said this before, but in the European Square Enix website, whenever we change, when we just go forward or backwards for summer and winter time, they don't know which time zone to use, so they go for all three. They go for like BST, GMT, and I think I've seen CST as well, which is interesting. It's just I guess GMT just makes sense. Yeah, now that I think about it, I agree with you, Square Enix. You should just use GMT and not list BST at all. That's my European rant for
British
today.
Summertime, right?
BST is British summertime.
British Standard Time.
Standard Time,
isn't it?
It is British summertime. Because GMT would be the standard time. Okay. That's so confusing. It should be G. Oh, I see why. Because British summertime and British standard time would be the same abbreviation. Would be BST. So it would be BSUT. BSUT. Okay, I think GMT BST is fine for now. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Rewards. Top ranking players will be awarded a special achievement and title. These rewards can be obtained by using the following items distributed via the Moogle delivery service. First to 12th place, Season 2 Writ of Beatification. What was it again?
Beatification.
Beatification. Season 2 Writ of Commendation. 13th to 100th gets a Season 2 Writ of Commendation.
Did you say condensation?
I've been a sausage of pain. I'm still recovering. They show us a 1 and a 2. Oh, this is so difficult to explain. But the item that you gain, the Season 2 Writ of what was it again?
Beatification.
Beatification grants the achievement Phase 3 Divine Ascension and the title Saint of the Firmament. So that is the same. The title is the same, but you're getting a different achievement. The Writ of Commendation grants the achievement Phase 3 Minor Miracle and the title Beatus of the Firmament. Same as before.
Okay.
There you go.
You guys gonna go for it?
But
let's explain a little bit how this is going to work.
I wish we could just stop there, but here we go. The titles awarded to top players, Saint of the Firmament and Beatus of the Firmament, are the same as those awarded during the rankings held at the release of patch 5.21. Please note, however, that because they will be treated as separate titles, players who earn them will see 2 instances of them when viewing acquired titles in-game. Please refer to our recent announcement regarding titles and achievements for more details. What? This fucking spaghetti spaghetti game is so funny because they've clearly. What I think has happened here is that they double down on this. Like they just implemented this before they asked us during the live letter because they expected everyone, to want just new titles. And then when the backlash came in, they're like, "Oh fuck, it's too late."
Very last minute change.
Yeah. So you're getting double titles. So you're gonna get like the same title twice. That's annoying. But something I feel like they can probably patch out at some point. It's just they didn't have time to fix it.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a very 14-esque problem, I feel like. But hey.
It kind of makes me not want to try and go for it again, just because I don't want the titles twice in my list.
Yeah. Yeah. Rewards. Okay, so yeah, that's going to happen. If you want double up titles, go try it again when the new season starts.
Worth the effort, I promise you.
Moogle delivery service. Rewards will be distributed via the Moogle delivery. Restart. Rewards will be distributed via the Moogle delivery service beginning on Wednesday, September 23rd. Please note that it may take time before rewards are delivered. In the event a player enters the rankings with more than one class, they will receive rewards based on their highest ranked class. Furthermore, you cannot receive rewards when your Mog letterbox is full. So make sure your delivery box is empty.
Empty out your box.
Yeah, before September 23rd. Yeah, there you go. Are you gonna attempt this time?
I'm gonna try. I didn't get it last time. I just didn't care.
I don't care. But I'll probably do it for the money. I'll do some gathering for the Gil.
The money.
That's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm probably not gonna bother. I'll probably get a title by chance again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You probably just get one by gathering, and that's it.
Yeah, that's how I ended up there. I just gathered like 2 days before the rankings ended, and I ended up on like 80. I have a number. I think it was 80 or something on the list.
The main reason I gather is 1, to make money, and 2, to get scripts to buy whatever new things they add to the list.
Yeah. Okay. So that's for patch 5.31 coming out on Sunday. Nope, Tuesday. Tuesday, not Sunday. Right, let's jump into the main story. This is a long interview. This is a Realm Reborn retrospective interview.
What's the website this is from?
This is from PCGamer.
Okay.
Yes. There probably should have been a link in the show notes. I just realized, but that is missing.
We can grab it. Hold on.
Okay, but I'll start reading. How Final Fantasy XIV clawed its way back from disaster to become 2020's best MMO. I think most of the people watching this already know, because you've probably watched Fallen Rise. But we'll read it again. For the 7th anniversary of its relaunch, we spoke to game director Naoki Yoshida about Final Fantasy XIV's incredible comeback and ongoing success. It was in a Los Angeles hotel room that Final Fantasy XIV game director Naoki Yoshida got his first hint that he might pull off the impossible. For 3 years, he had been striving to answer one question. Could you save a dying MMO? Conventional wisdom, backed up by decades of dead MMOs, said no. But Yoshida is an optimist. At the time, the criticism for Final Fantasy XIV was so harsh we were at the rock bottom, he laughs. There really was nowhere else to go besides up. It was E3 2013, and Yoshida had traveled from Japan to LA with global community producer Toshio I can never say his name, Murauchi, to help Square Enix build its Fox clone. To build excitement for the relaunch of Final Fantasy XIV happening in just 2 months. At 2 a.m., On the last night of the event, early evening in Japan, Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn's third beta test was scheduled to begin. Unlike the 2 tests before it, Phase 3 was almost a complete game. Players could try out overhauled systems like combat, the new user interface, and even the first bit of the main story at the same time. In the column he used to write for Famitsu, Yoshida said that this moment was truly do or die.
Do you remember what level the beta went capped at?
What level?
Yeah.
I want to say 30?
I want to say 30 as well. But I never got to the cap in the beta.
I think it was 30. Also, quite interestingly, I've sifted through a lot of alpha and beta footage recently. We used to have yellow gear, which is an interesting side note. But also, the animation for changing gear set used to be the level up effect. They just swapped them around, I think. The original level up effect and the change gear set. Fun fact. All right.
Okay. Cap was 35 for the Phase 1 and 35 to 50 for Phase 3.
Oh, it was up to 50. Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. We were exhausted from E3 itself, Yoshida recalls, but this phase was where we got to start seeing the players, their reaction, and what they felt after playing the game. There was a sort of excitement that night. Marucci and I, we didn't sleep. We pulled an all-nighter just monitoring the situation. It was this Final Fantasy XIV World Strategy War Room in this tiny hotel room. The stakes were unbelievably high. The first version of Final Fantasy XIV released to brutally negative reviews and outrage from its community. It was an unmitigated disaster. To save not only the game, but also Final Fantasy's reputation, Square Enix put Yoshida in charge of an ambitious project to rebuild the entire thing from the ground up in just 2.5 years. It seemed hopeless. But Yoshida had a secret weapon. Microsoft Excel. A single... to the rescue! A single colossal and shockingly detailed spreadsheet turned the overwhelming prospect of building an entire MMO into a step-by-step plan that accounted for everything, even bathroom breaks. As the beta test opened...
legal in some countries.
As the beta test opened, there was an initial rush of panic as servers buckled from the sudden load. Yes. For a few hours that morning, Yoshida, I'll just say Foxconn, and the development team back in Japan scrambled to fix the crashes and respond to frustrated players. But as the servers stabilized and more people got into the resurrected world of Eorzea for the first time, an eerie silence settled over Square Enix's social media channels. It became very quiet, Yoshida says. It made me wonder if the servers went down because I wasn't hearing anything. No one was contacting me, so we were like, what's going on? Nothing was going on. The community was just fully absorbed in A Realm Reborn. Final Fantasy XIV today might seem far removed from its... Okay, so they're not talking about that right now, but I do remember when it kind of looked... So now that we look back on it now, it's like, of course it would go well, but my God, when the servers started crashing again, I was like, fuck, this has all been crashing? Like the servers just shut down, like they overloaded and stopped work. Like they took the servers down to patch.
Yeah, but you say crashing again. Was that a common problem in 1.0?
Yes. They had, there was a problem, like they had issues in 1.0. There was, doors could make entire world servers crash. Like world servers would just die if you tried to open the wrong door. Like there was constantly. So when we got to A Realm Reborn, we're like, okay, it's been, you know, they've touted this as like the rebirth of this world, and then they start the servers and they crash. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it was all a lie, wasn't it?
Back at it again.
We're back at it again. Yeah. This is shitty world all over again. And
This
then
shit don't stop.
yeah, someone's opening doors and it's literally that. Well, it was Ul'dah at the time. I think Ul'dah was specifically the worst one at the time. But yeah,
Is it the one of the Adventurers Guild or whatever?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Their solution: just keep the doors open at all times, and move the inn to like the Gold Court in the Steppes of Thal. So that's the way to solve that, I guess. Okay, so yes, but then yeah, the servers just came on, and that was it. Servers didn't really die again after that, and that's when you were like, oh, okay, we did it. Okay, so Final Fantasy XIV today might seem far removed from its disastrous origin story. Square Enix recently released its 21st major update, one of its biggest, not counting the 3 main expansions, and it's now been played by more than 20 million people worldwide. That success is even more surprising when you consider that Final Fantasy XIV is one of the few MMOs that still charges a subscription fee in an era where free-to-play dominates the genre. But the truth is, the dismal days of Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, which shape its rebirth, are also the foundations of its bright future. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV since A Realm Reborn launched 7 years ago, sinking an embarrassing number of hours into my White Mage. Is this written by me? Although I wouldn't have started then. Unlike other MMOs, which frequently feel like they're crumbling under the size of their own world and story, Final Fantasy XIV has quietly become one of the best games in the entire series. It's like a TV show that just gets better with each new... He's been talking to Yoshida too much. TV show that just gets better with...
Everyone's on to the fucking TV show shit.
It's like a TV show that just gets better with each new season as it digs deeper into the emotional core of its main characters while slowly peeling back the mysteries of the universe and the gods that rule it. This is Final Fantasy, after all. During that journey, what's kept me playing is how consistent Final Fantasy XIV is. I've lived through the amazing highs and depressing lows of World of Warcraft and other MMOs, where the joy of an amazing expansion can feel undone by the flaws of the next. The secret sauce of Final Fantasy XIV's success is possibly the least sexy thing in game development: spreadsheets, communication, and a lot of hard work. Yoshida...
I don't know what appeals to me.
Yoshida says that A Realm Reborn's development wasn't just challenging because of the enormous task of saving its future, but also because the team only had 2.5 years to do it. Half the time the original 14 took to develop, and decidedly less than most other MMOs. Yeah, still very crazy. I like to emphasize that. Like, 1.0 took, I think, almost 5 years to make. I think it took 5 and... Wait, they start yeah, we saw the Rapture demo in like 2005, which is when
that far back.
Yeah, and then 1.0 came out in 2010, which by then they were like, it's still not enough time. They'd still pushed them too hard, and A Realm Reborn was made in half that time. And it's still better than 1.0. It's crazy.
I was going to say it's disgusting that what they made after 5 years was what they made.
Yeah. It's sad, but yeah, it's...
Sometimes you can throw a lot of money into a project and a lot of talent, and yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
You just have some really bad direction or some missteps.
It really is. Someone needs to get to Tanaka to talk, because I want to know exactly what happened. The only thing, we know very little about exactly what happened during development of 1.0 because they don't like to talk about it, and for some reason no one's talking to Tanaka. He probably doesn't like talking about it. No one knows where he is. No one knows where he is. Is he even alive?
I think he's like under a gag order or whatever.
He probably is. Like, I don't know.
You can work on some other stuff, but like, never talk about.
Is he working on other stuff?
Again.
Well, from what I remember, I think he just faded away from Square Enix. I think he was put on some other project after 1.0 and crashed and burned, and then he's not even in Square Enix now. I think he's just he's like in
what was the last thing he did? 7th Rebirth for iOS and Android in 2016.
Oh,
oof. He was the producer for that.
Yeah, well, the only thing we really know is that Tanaka wanted 11 HD they didn't get the time they required. And they had a very massive, like they had ambitions that were too big to fit in their tiny, well, relatively tiny time window of 5 years. Because I believe Square Enix just set the release date. They're like, okay, September 30th or whatever, 2010. That's when the game is released. Go. Okay. Yeah.
I think the best bet we have of getting...
I'm back.
Really?
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
I think the best bet we have of getting information about the 1.0 era in regards to people that are like high profile within the development team would be Soken and Koji Fox.
I have said this many times before, but there's this like shot in the 1.0 Collector's Edition. There's a making of documentary. And there is this weird like scene where Tanaka is listening to a field track with Soken and other people that we recognize from the A Realm Reborn dev team. And it's so weird because it's like an alternate dimension. And there is a, let's just say, different energy when they're around Tanaka than when they're with Yoshi-P. Because Yoshi-P they're more relaxed because it's Yoshi-P.
Yeah.
But with like Tanaka, he's very his face is like solid. You can't really tell on his face what he thinks about the track. But then he does this. And then everyone else are like, oh. And then they clap. It's so awkward. Yeah, so it was a different energy back then. Anyways.
Funny aside.
Yeah?
Tanaka's other game from 2016, the mobile gacha game, was shuttered in 2019.
Sad.
That's sad. That's sad.
So rest in peace, Seventh Rebirth. Sure was something.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I also want to say that the difference in energy might be because I think Tanaka, this is completely based on the very little stuff that exists of him from that documentary, is that he might be riding a bit on that, I made 11 great. I am the master of JRPG MMOs. It became his downfall, unfortunately. Okay. Coming up with a list of every major... Sorry, where are we? Yoshida says that A Realm Reborn's development... Is it where we are?
Yeah.
I think so. Yoshida says that A Realm Reborn's development wasn't just challenging because of the enormous task of saving its future, but also because the team only had 2.5...
Coming up with that.
What?
You're up to coming up with a list.
Coming up with a list...
Sorry.
Paragraph. Coming up with a list of every major feature that would be in the reboot was just the first part of Yoshida's job. He was also in charge of ensuring everything came together on time. Creating this list of game content can be a lengthy process. Development supervisor Gondai tells me. I'll pick the names that I can pronounce. Yet Mr. Yoshida was able to utilize his excellent communication skills, his earnest attitude towards games as a whole, and his natural talent as a game creator to compile the necessary information very quickly. He also made it a point to walk the staff members through these plans verbally, while providing his reasoning behind it, and not simply sharing the list of elements for their reference. It might seem like a very top-down sort of workflow at first glance, but when Mr. Yoshida talks to his staff, he doesn't simply order them. Oh, this kind of relates to what I just talked about with Tanaka, because I feel like he's very... yeah. When Yoshida talks to his staff, he doesn't simply order them to do a task, but instead explains how creating a certain element with a particular intent is important to the overall game. Each member of the team understands the meaning and importance of their work, and they can stay motivated as they work on the game. I believe that was a very important thing to keep in mind. Yeah, so again, comparing that to 1.0's workflow where the departments didn't talk to each other at all. It was complete mayhem. Like they all got their own orders and then they just did it without consulting any of the other departments.
Sounds so terrible.
Yeah.
From the most obvious way that was, the most apparent way that was the case to the public was the fact that Uematsu had no idea what he was.
Yes. Yes. And that, again, bringing back to that, you know what? That's something we could watch on movie night.
or something else. That making of documentary, that is a true
Oh.
gem to watch, because
Ooh.
there is an interview with Uematsu about creating the music for 14.
Is he really just admitting on there? I don't know what this
Well,
is
he
about.
tries his best. And I think this is at an advanced stage in the development of the game, so he has actual footage, but I think the music has already been composed. So they're just doing like the featurette where he's like sitting there like playing on the keyboard pretending to make music while there's some video on screen. It's very funny. So yeah, yeah, Uematsu knew nothing about the game. Well, he got a vague idea. They said high fantasy world, stuff like that. The initial stuff that
high fantasy. Put the guitar riffs in there.
Yeah. Was Stones made before the story? I would say yes, because I know they made the constellations. They made all the planets where they were like in correlation to Hydaelyn, the months, the date. Yeah, all of that all of that was made before the story, yes. And very obvious, because there wasn't a lot of it at launch. Square Enix didn't have months to waste deliberating over what features this new version of 14 would have, and many players on the team didn't have experience developing MMOs or even playing them. So Yoshida pulled together a crack team of experts from both inside Square Enix, along with new hires, and threw together a complete design document in a matter of weeks by drawing on his own extensive experience as an MMO player. Long before he worked at Square Enix, Yoshida had been hopelessly addicted to EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot, Ultima Online, and World of Warcraft. It was years of all-night sessions playing these MMOs, as well as helping create Japanese-only MMO Dragon Quest X, that informed his vision for a new Final Fantasy XIV that the entire team could get behind.
Okay.
I didn't know he worked on 10. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That should
I
come
think I
stateside
vaguely
soon,
remember
please.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, so I've heard of 4 of those 3 MMOs they mentioned. Can either of you explain to me what Dark Age of Camelot is?
I remember
Sounds familiar.
when I made the first episode or second of Fallen Rise, this was one of I've said this title before. Have no idea what the game is, but I know it was very popular around the time 1.0 came out and around.
Oh, wasn't this the really big like one of the first big faction PvP MMO kind of things?
Probably.
I feel like that's what it was.
No, nothing about it.
It looks like shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was good for the time.
Yeah.
And I'm the least exposed to MMOs of the 3 of us. I will take anything you say about what this game is.
Yeah.
It was popular, at least. It probably still is, because I think it's still up, right? Yeah. It's very old. Still working on Camelot Unchained. Okay.
I'll say it is really interesting to hear how Yoshi-P was into these games, because not all of them, but a lot of them are very, very PvP centric.
Yes.
And like PvP heavy. And to see how none of that has come through into 14. In absolutely no way at all.
Well, to be fair, the fact that we have PvP might be because of Yoshi-P. But he's restricted by the game's engine. So I think maybe that's why. But the fact that we have PvP might be because Yoshi-P used to play a lot of those games, and he tried to bring it in.
Get it out.
Because that was also a thing that a lot of people talked about before PvP even came to 14. Was like, PvP, not gonna happen. 14 is not a PvP game. Then we got PvP. Well, we got something. We got something. Let's talk about that another time, because that's fucked. That's a fucked up. That was a fucked up system.
Have we ever had a great discussion about PvP in this game?
I don't think so, but I feel like people know our feelings for the most part.
What will we discuss? Like
How it's bad.
How bad it is. That sounds like fun.
You know what we should do? We should one day, let's say 1 week, give it like an honest to God try. We can get like a full stack in there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do some Wolves Den. Just like immerse ourselves in it and like really commit.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it.
Because I feel like we should try, Wolves Den. We can't say fuck Frontline and Rival Wings. We need the pure PvP.
Yeah.
Wolves Den. Yeah. Okay. Back to the article. Time was of the essence, and one of the biggest failures in the original 14 was due to how little oversight its developers had into the day-to-day production process. In the no-clip documentary, Yoshida explains that in order to meet the impossible deadline for A Realm Reborn, he broke every development task into its smallest constituent parts and then had each developer give a minimum and maximum estimate for how long it would take to complete. All of that was collected into an enormous spreadsheet that factored in everything from meetings to bathroom breaks to give Yoshida a complete yet granular view of the Final Fantasy XIV's development. Every single task, from endgame progression to the leaves of a tree in the forested city of Gridania, was broken down like this. It required one hell of a spreadsheet. It probably took forever to load. I hate it when you get like a spreadsheet and it's like, oh god, it's going to take a minute to open.
What if that spreadsheet's still out there?
Oh, it must be. Oh, I'd love to see it.
Show me this part in the spreadsheet that covers every leaf of the trees in Gridania. Because I'm sure that existed.
What's fascinating is how that process shaped the game itself. The latest update, for example, reworks the entire story of A Realm Reborn to remove some of the bloat and grind that made the story drag. But the problems with A Realm Reborn wasn't with the story. It was how it was told through the road quest. We didn't have much time to develop A Realm Reborn. And at the same time, the staff members that were working on the title, their understanding of MMOs was very scattered, Yoshida says. In order to mitigate that, we set a rule. This is still the worst rule I've ever heard. We set a rule that one quest would have a certain number of experience points delivered per content, and then it would take about 9 minutes to complete each quest. No matter what the quest was, no matter how trivial it was, even if you skipped through all the text and dialogue, it would still take about 9 minutes. That's fucked up.
Why?
Why? I don't know.
Definitely one of the failings of...
Yeah.
Of Realm Reborn.
Yes. It might seem arbitrary, but making every quest...
Because it is.
Yeah. But making every quest equally sized makes sense when you're trying to plot out and develop a 50-hour story under a tight deadline. And A Realm Reborn's rigid quest structure only really became noticeable in hindsight as the development team became more confident and capable. At the time of its release, I just remember being overwhelmed with how much 14 had improved. Tedious quests were an easy flaw to overlook.
True.
Yeah, that's true. A Realm Reborn impressively reimagined many MMO cliches. I'd killed my fair share of MMO raid bosses by 2013, but I'll never forget the spectacle of fighting the primal demigod Garuda for the very first time. Instead of just finding her waiting for us in an arena like in every other MMO, I watched her descend like an angel from the heavens as ominous organ music piped, electric guitar sweeping in as she unleashed a furious tornado that trapped my party in her lair. At that moment, Final Fantasy XIV's unique infusion of JRPG dramatics was a revelation. Yeah, we're quite lucky in that. We're very spoiled when it comes to, like, boss reveals, like when they appear, when you compare it to other MMOs. In order for fans of the Final Fantasy series to enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, we placed heavy emphasis on the single-player story, Gondai says. We created a game in which the player interacts with the world as the protagonist and included cutscenes that build excitement for the story, as well as various solo battle events. I think this structure is one of the reasons why so many players have received this game so well. Yeah. Final Fantasy XIV isn't the first MMO to take this approach, but consistency is the key. As the team moved from A Realm Reborn into the Heavensward expansion and onward, the story always remained front and center, bolstered by set-piece boss fights that felt bespoke and meaningful because they were so closely tied into the story as a whole. You weren't just killing monsters in some nefarious dungeon because they looked cool and had good loot. Everything tied to a story about you and a group of badasses fighting to dismantle the imperialist Garlean Empire and threats, often far worse. Oh, having played MMOs for so many decades, Yoshida didn't like how long players often had to wait between updates. Looking at it from a player's perspective, having more than a 4-month gap was a little too much, even if it was a major update, he says. I thought to myself, how would we have to package the game if we wanted to have a major update every 3 or 4 months? It's a major problem for virtually every MMO. Even World of Warcraft infamously left players high and dry for 13 months at the end of the Warlords of Draenor expansion, leading to one of the darkest times in Warcraft history that in some ways still hangs over the game. Yoshida made certain Final Fantasy XIV would not repeat those mistakes.
And we complain about 6 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
The key is that these conversations were happening in tandem with Realm Reborn's development instead of after. When it was released in 2013, Yoshida already had a roadmap of every major update, including the Heavensward expansion, that wouldn't launch for another 2 years. That kind of forethought and rigorous planning enabled an unprecedented post-launch update schedule. Instead of patches arriving irregularly, Final Fantasy XIV gets a major update every 3.5 months, like clockwork. Well, normally, yes. Of the 21 major patches that have been released since its launch, each one adding hours of new story, dungeons, raids, and other big features, the only one to miss its deadline was because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The plan was already set for up to 2 years in advance, and my team were working off that roadmap and going off of this sheet and creating content and trying to get through all of that, Yoshida says. We had a good foundation from the get-go. I think a major factor of our success is our ability to make consistent updates according to our overall schedule and release plan, main scenario writer Natsuko Ichikawa says. People often say that a strength of Final Fantasy XIV is the game's ability to put a strong emphasis on the story experience, even though it is an MMORPG. In order to make that a reality, it is extremely important to have an update plan and schedule that supports that goal. Hoping to get some outside perspective on the challenges of maintaining a live service game, I reached out to Rebecca Ford, Warframe's live ops and community director. Like Final Fantasy XIV, Warframe was a game built in extreme dire circumstances that, against all odds, managed to find enormous success. Ford says the way 14 has consistently grown is mind-blowing. She started playing 14 earlier this year and says she's fallen in love with the game, but also, as a developer on another online RPG, she's fascinated by what Square Enix has achieved, the cadence in which they update, their approach to updates, and the positivity surrounding it is just great. I just love it. Warframe. Interesting. Unlike a Realm Reborn, like I've said this before, Warframe is like probably one of the very few free-to-play games that I actually enjoy. Like, that is a game that has done it right. Yeah. Unlike A Realm Reborn, Warframe was rapidly built in just over a year as Digital Extremes scrambled to release the game before going bankrupt after no publisher wanted to back an early prototype. Because of that, Square Enix is capable of road mapping in such a way, whereas for us... Because of that, Square Enix is capable of road mapping in such a way, whereas for us, it's like we're putting the rail down in front of us as we're going, because we've never had 2 years to plan like that, Ford says.
Oh, boy, let me tell you, you could really tell on Warframe too.
Yeah.
They have some good ideas.
Uh-huh.
It's a good game,
Mm-hmm.
but some systems in that game don't make any sense.
No.
And they have to go back often and try to fix it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to A Realm Reborn, but A Realm Reborn didn't have that many glaring issues. But didn't Yoshi-P say that A Realm Reborn wasn't done until they got to Heavensward? That's when they had completed fixing everything, because they had to make A Realm Reborn pushed out to launch, and then they were secretly repairing it. I don't know if one's better than the other either, but I have taken a very serious effort into not only playing the game for my own enjoyment, but also just understanding how they are achieving what they're doing and what their guiding principles are as a team. While Warframe and Final Fantasy XIV might not seem like they have much in common, both games share surprisingly similar stories. They were exceedingly risky, last-ditch attempts that only paid off partly because of the incredible determination of their developers, but also because they were able to foster devoted communities who rode out the hard times. When I ask Yoshida what compelled that motivation to rebuild trust instead of just sweeping 14 under the rug and forgetting it ever happened, he tells me about the players who continued playing Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 even when everyone else had quit.
Hey.
They were players that continued to stay with us because they believed in us, he says. We call them our legacy players. Hey! They're our cornerstone, our foundation, our allies, even to this day. That's right. That's
Did you
right.
believe in them?
Anyway,
Okay.
no, well, I'll say I believed in them, but then it waned very quickly. Like I said, when the servers didn't work during A Realm Reborn, I was ready to be like, okay, I'm out. But no.
3.0 and you're like, no more.
Well, during 1.0, we were told that our sub was going towards development of the game. And then I was like, okay, oops, server's not working. This feels familiar. No, I joke. I believed in them. It was Square Enix. It was almost unfathomable to me that they would fail. That a Final Fantasy game, a main, numbered Final Fantasy game would fail.
Yeah.
It was those people Yoshida had in mind when Square Enix first issued a public apology and vowed to fix Final Fantasy XIV 1.0. And as development on A Realm Reborn began in earnest, Yoshida felt a responsibility to keep that dialogue open with players to show how hard the team was working. That was the origin of Letter from the Producer, a recurring sorry, that is incorrect. Letter from the Producer is a forum post. It's Letter from the Producer live. Thank you very much. A recurring live stream that Yoshida and the team do to share progress on development and addresses issues directly with their fans. It's easy to take dev streams for granted in 2020 because they've become such a common part of gaming, but back in 2013, Yoshida says that idea felt very new. In his Famitsu column, he explains it was inspired by his time playing Dark Age of Camelot and how nonchalantly the developers interact with their players. It's just another way Yoshida's personal experience with MMOs had a big impact on 14. You see how he's avoiding talking about how the 1.0 devs treated the players, the original ones? It's quite nonchalant. No forums. Those live streams were an invaluable window into not only the development of Final Fantasy XIV. I swear, did you hear that? Did you hear the fucking...
Yes, I heard it.
Anyways, those live streams were an invaluable window into not only the development of Final Fantasy XIV, but the motivation of the team making it. During the launch event of A Realm Reborn, Final Fantasy XIV proved so unexpectedly popular that it caused widespread server issues in North America and Europe that prevented many players from logging in for days. It is a story as old as the genre itself. Yoshida could have just laughed it off or avoided addressing the issue personally, but during a live stream of the launch event, he instead broke into tears as he apologized for the server issues and reflected on the long journey to that moment. This kind of raw sincerity from the development team permeates Final Fantasy XIV. It's created one of the most positive dev-player relationships I've ever seen. When it was announced that Ishikawa had been promoted and was writing all the main story quests for Shadowbringers at PAX West, players gave her a standing ovation. Remember that? We covered that. Remember that?
We did.
There's this layer of authenticity that you get immediately from the Final Fantasy XIV team, Ford says. They already had all the issues out of the way early with Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, but then A Realm Reborn happened, and you had that aha moment where the capabilities of the team and the authenticity of their goals were front-facing right away. And they've maintained that update. They've maintained that update after update. Every time I look into the abyss of Final Fantasy XIV, I just have a voice in my head saying they salvaged this. A Realm Reborn was everything to them, and you can kind of just feel that sense of joy, like as a developer in continuing the lifespan of something that was doomed. I think from a development point of view, when you have that turnaround story, it motivates you for a long time. Yeah. There's this we have, I think most players feel very close to the development team, which I don't know if, since it's been a while since I've played another MMO, I don't know if other games have this, but like the Yoshi-P feels like we jokingly say like he's the dad. He's our MMO dad. Yeah. But I don't know if other MMOs have that kind of relationship with their lead dev, like the producer and director. Yeah. And I think a lot of that is because we've seen him he's very out there. He's very out there.
He puts on the fun little outfits every fest, you know.
I also will never forget, that just reminded me of when FoxClan dressed up as a fucking Sin Eater. I will never forget that outfit.
I still don't really understand
it. Dream about it.
I mean, I get it.
I dream about it. I dream about FoxClan in that Sin Eater outfit. He's coming down.
Is it a sleep paralysis demon?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we're getting into the last part of the interview now. As my interview with Yoshida winds to a close, I can't help but think of the legacies of MMOs past. Yoshida's now retired Famitsu column was filled with nostalgic rants about the time he was scammed in Ultima Online, or the unfortunate episode where a hopeful guild member in Dark Age of Camelot found out he wasn't a woman like his character, and out of spite stopped casting helpful spells on him during group fights.
How could you do this to me, Yoshi-P? Now you're gonna die.
What a reaction. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I won't help you anymore. When I ask Yoshida what kind of legacy he hopes Final Fantasy XIV will leave one day, he says he isn't sure. He says Final Fantasy XIV hasn't ended yet, and there's so many plans for the future, he says. Our blood, sweat, and tears are going into this, but if I were to give an example, having a strong relationship with the player community is such a positive effect to a particular game. And I think that Final Fantasy XIV is proof of that phenomenon. I feel like we're all in this together. We're creating something together, he adds. I see players reaching out to their friends about Final Fantasy XIV saying, hey, this is such a fun game. There are so many things improved in this game, and they actively go out on their own initiative to invite their friends and grow that base. I feel like that makes us different from some of the other games. Just that strength of our bond. The camaraderie, the feeling that we're all in this together hasn't changed over the course of 7 years, and I think having that as our foundation in such an intense way is a really big element of our success. A lot has happened since Yoshida and FoxClan stepped out of that stuffy hotel room in 2013 and blinked at the hazy sun rising over Los Angeles. But that obligation to make things right, that motivation, as Ford calls it, has carried Final Fantasy XIV through 3 increasingly great expansions, with a 4th likely coming late next year. What lies in store is a mystery, but I'm sure Yoshida and the development team have it all meticulously laid out in a spreadsheet somewhere.
Hooray.
Done. That's good. That was a good interview.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 14... Again, like he mentioned, like getting people to play 14 is so easy because you can just explain 1.0 or redirect them to the Fallen Rise or No Clip documentary, and it'll like draw them in because it's such an interesting backstory, and you kind of want to be part of this in a way.
Did you watch a Netflix special about that? Like a dramatic, like in the style of Chernobyl. Like a very dramatic TV show about an event.
Dude,
like
that
this.
I would watch the shit out of that. That would be fucking awesome.
I would watch it, but what a comparison of events.
Yeah, not quite comparable.
I meant to say a dramatization. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So, yeah, nice to hear Yoshida reflect on the game. It is crazy that on September 30th, Final Fantasy XIV will actually be 10 years old.
It's a fucking boomer game.
It is, yeah. On September 30th, the game officially becomes a boomer game. Think about that.
Yeah, we have to move on. We got to be hip. What's the? We got to play Splatoon 2.
We can only hope. We can only hope that Final Fantasy XVI is the next MMO at this point.
Why did you even pick Splatoon 2 as if it's still getting regular updates?
Because the kids like to say "woomy."
I thought Fall Guys, or is Fall Guys ruined by casuals? Is that the meme? Casuals ruined Fall Guys.
Did they?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Everyone's a casual when you play Fall Guys.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
All right. I guess we have time to read some MogMail for once. So we will do that. But it'll be quiet for the first time. So here's some silence. Feel it. Oh. I will run it again. Okay, well that one's still quiet. Oh god. Well, this one's from Chesha Saltiri from Solera. Hey guys, I was just thinking about the fact that we absorb the light aspected ether of Sin Eaters. Is this because of our blessing from Hydaelyn? Would that suggest she is light? Have we read this? No. It's because every time we read a MogMail, I always ask this question. But I'm realizing that I've read this before because I've read it before, but I haven't read it on air.
Okay.
Yes.
I know Zodiac is considered dark aspected, but what of the other elements? I thought Hydaelyn was satiating all of the different ether making up our world, but if she's only light, are there other aspected crystal on each shard? It would stand to reason considering each shard's calamity results in an aspected element. I always considered her to be the core of the planet. I don't know if that's ever actually spoken about in the lore, but maybe each planet's core is a different elemental crystal. Well.
Well, the reason we absorb light from the Sin Eaters is explained over the course of Shadowbringers. It's the same reason Titania became a Sin Eater. Because when someone kills a Sin Eater, they absorb that light. I don't think that's specific to us being a avatar for Hydaelyn.
Just very etherically dense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Also, we've talked about the core of the planet. It's hard to think of again. Where is Hydaelyn? It just comes back to this. Is she in there, or is she in a different plane, a different dimension?
Yeah.
It sounds like she's somewhat in the core.
That's what I'm thinking as well. And it's only mostly because of the anti-tower, which is touching the ethereal sea, which I would presume would be that would be the skin of the molten core if we had that if their equivalent on Hydaelyn.
It would definitely be connected to her at the least. I would not say it was her, but
yeah,
that it's related to her.
Yeah. Did you? Oh yeah, you were here, Olo, and we said that. Yeah, you were here. Of course, you were here last week. We said, that, do you like the idea that Crystal Tower is possibly Hydaelyn's toe? Do you support that theory, Olo? Anyways, there you go. I don't know about the elemental aspect. They are different though, Zodiac and Hydaelyn, in color. Zodiac is like this purple void color, and which we already associate with darkness. because the 13th was swallowed by it, and everything there kind of has this weird purple color. So maybe. I mean, it doesn't help. The other cores being different elements though doesn't quite make sense to me because
I consider different elements. I think maybe they could be expected as light or dark, but that's about as far
I
as
think it's more likely they'd be umbrally or astrally aspected. I don't see them being aligned with any of the 6 particular elements.
That's more likely, yeah.
One thing we haven't really ever talked about is Heidland's not sundered, isn't she?
No, I guess not. No, well,
because if she was, she would have known what was happening on the first. She would have known before the Warriors of Darkness came and told her.
Yeah, that's true. But Zodiac is sundered.
Zodiac is.
But
that's why he needs.
Yeah, because she kicked him, so that's why. Like she fucking blew him up, so that's why he is sundered. Yeah, I guess she isn't. She is sundered, or is
it does. It does make me think, what's at the center of the other planets?
Yeah. What is in
shards.
there? Yeah. Maybe they're just boring. They're just like our planet's core. They're just normal planet cores. It's just lava, magma in there. Okay. Thank you, Cheshire. Next, MogMail is coming in from... No. Well. Okay. Genova Tia. Twintania. This is the one that I kept trying to play last week. Hello, speakers. An interesting point came up when I was discussing lore with friends. Do you suppose our Fuck, did we not read this? This one?
No, we haven't read this, but we did talk about how prescient it was before the occurrence of 5.3, because this was written and sent to us sent into us before 5.3 was released.
Everything is happening. Yes. Do you suppose our Warrior of Light has the capacity of turning into a primal because of the power creep we seem to go through? If people believe in us as a savior of the realm, do you think it possible our image could be given primal form? Is it possible? If not, how would you solve the problem of our power level rising too far? This used to be, this theory is way more relevant now after the whole Elidibus ordeal. But this is also an old theory that we've even discussed here many times. Is that whether or not are we turning into or /m? Are we? Wait. English. Are we a primal, or are we turning into one, or are we tempered? Those are like 3 very popular theories, because we appear out of nowhere, and we're very strong. We have, and Highland's like, oh, I like you. You be mine. There's also that thing that Thornton says, what are you? So yeah, after we saw what happened to Elidibus, it is possible.
I feel like we might fight a primal version of ourselves one day, maybe.
Oh, that would be cool. That would have to be a single player or solo duty.
What would they call it? Because we've already fought something essentially called the Warrior of Light.
Yeah, but what if the primal is called the Scrote?
What?
It definitely wouldn't be called that, and I have no idea why you said that. You've scolded me for breaking character on a podcast, and you just said that.
I wasn't going to say. I was going to make something up. And
what are you gonna say?
I was gonna go scroll like something weird, and then my brain's like, "We'll finish that for you. Don't worry, Scrote." Okay. Anyways, let's not call it that. That's not. Don't call it that.
Chad is bringing up Azim or Azima or Azim.
Yes.
With an I.
Because we've wanted to do. We've wanted to know more about or fight the 12. That's also been a thing. To fight the 12, wouldn't that be epic? And then fighting ourselves as Azema at the end. That would be pretty cool. I still find it weird that we're supposed to be Azema. It's such a non-god. Do you know what I mean?
Which 12 would it be?
Yeah, that's
not that one.
Well, Oshan, because he's the Wanderer. He makes sense in the lore as well. Like in the creation myth, he just kind of appears out of nowhere. He just wanders and is like, "Hey guys." Yeah.
Have we readdressed at what point in the creation myth that Azema is revealed?
Oh, I can't get the book. No. I don't remember.
Yes, this is the correct one.
Yeah, it's at the very beginning. Dead air.
Oh no, you keep talking. I'm
yes.
looking.
Yeah, no, I know that Azema means the sun, but it's also such a random one because it's kind of the one we. But it also makes sense because the Azema's symbol is in so many places.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Where does she first appear? Oshan, Limlane, Oshan, Nomia, Halone, Liagot. Oh god, where is she? When is she first mentioned?
I think she's one of the first ones, aren't she? Isn't she?
Althik is first.
Yeah, of course. He makes the world.
Then Naimea
Yeah.
is his daughter.
Yeah.
As Naimea grew, however, so too did they love one another until it could no longer be contained, culminating in a divine coupling, which
They
resulted
fucked.
in the birth of two holy daughters, Azema the sun and Minfina the moon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the sun and the moon. Oh. Ooh. Yeah. So that's they're some of the first, but they're not even the first. It's such
the
like
third.
yeah. They're like okay. They're third, I guess. I don't know. It's fine, I guess. Also, we're now treating this as if it is fact that we are Azema. That's still definitely not confirmed. But it is interesting that the 12 are being brought in into the story. Okay, thank you, Genova. Next question is from. After my theory that Garleans might be clones, I have another one for you. Hydaelyn and Zodiark are actually part of the same sundered being. By summoning Hydaelyn, they cut off a piece of Zodiark. Then Hydaelyn divided herself and Zodiark into all the shards to weaken Zodiark. This would explain why Hydaelyn is so weak. Also, it would fit well with the light isn't always good and shadow isn't always bad narrative of Shadowbringers. I can even imagine that the final boss of the Zodiark and Hydaelyn story arc will be a battle against both of them as Adam and Eve before battling them as a rejoined second phase. Ooh.
We have to team up against two gods. Primals.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where the story is headed, though, right now.
No.
I think, unfortunately, it's headed towards the Xenos Zodiac, us Hydaelyn direction.
It's so boring, actually, considering what we can get. Yeah. Part of the same sundered being. So that Hydaelyn is like made of a part of Zodiark. Just like Adam and Eve, hence the title, I guess, the boss name.
What if there was something before Zodiark that they took from to make Hydaelyn and
the
Zodiark?
sound,
Yeah.
under the planet, yeah, that would be interesting.
Just a thought.
I kind of wonder if we'll ever touch on that now, because I feel like we're done. You know what I mean with Amarot? Will we ever know what that sound was? What if during the next few MSQs, like the end of the next patch, we hear the sound on the source. Wouldn't
We just us or everyone?
No, everyone.
Okay.
Oh.
And that's like
That's
the
the new-
cliffhanger, and now
that's
we're
the new
pivoting towards the new story.
Yeah, I've thought this for a while that like they tend to like seed things that don't get brought up again until like two
Yeah.
expansions later. So I can definitely see that being the case.
And the last thing that Graha said in the story was the end of the chapter of this star.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that would have been good, but I'm not ready to commit to that theory. But that would be interesting. That would be fun because I want to know what that sound is.
My guess, we'll have to go back to the anti-tower to investigate the sound, because that's why Yoshi-P told us to remember.
Yes, yes.
The anti-tower is going to be next expansion's Crystal Tower. I'm calling it.
You know what? I'm not even gonna fight you on that because I feel like we're in a black and white moment, that we're gonna be playing this in a few months.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yes.
I'll like it if you're right.
Okay. Thank you. Did I even say their name? Noir
No, you
Nyson
didn't.
from Louis Soir. I'm so sorry. There was a problem with the audio. I was fixing it. Right. I think we should. I mean, I think we should skip 4 just so we can actually read a MogMail that we can discuss, because this one would just. This I feel like we can bring up when.
But you see, the thing is, I
that
don't think we
person
have
is
much.
here.
I don't think we have much time though.
Yeah, but I think 5 is relatively easy to discuss.
Okay.
Okay, next MogMail coming to us from Suspenseful. Here we go. Morient from Behemoth. So, all of the mobs in Heroes Gauntlet are based on jobs, since they are heroes from beyond the rift. 2 noticeable exceptions are the second boss, a spectral necromancer, and a trash mob called Spectral Ink Mage. I'm ignoring the berserker, since that's basically a warrior. Do you think that's a hint about possible future jobs, or the dev team is just rubbing it in that we won't have them? Well,
That's also forgetting that the first boss is a thief, not a ninja.
yes. Well, thief is like a sore point in 14, because that's what everyone thought we were getting, and they're like, no, you're getting rogue.
How is a rogue that much different from a thief?
No,
Why
but
would
it's like,
people care
why
that
not
much?
just call it thief? But they're like, it doesn't work with the lore. All right.
Thief is a job as well.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
They
None
said
of
it's
that exist in 14 are like really things that have existed in previous Final Fantasies, are they?
What do you mean, rogue? Wait, what did you cut
the
out?
terms.
What terms?
The terms, the terms they use to refer to classes aren't really like recurring things in Final Fantasy. It's all jobs that are recurring things from previous Final Fantasies, aren't they?
Yeah. For the
Like
most
Conjurer,
part.
Thaumaturge, Gladiator. Are these
Mhm.
all things that have existed in previous Final
No, I
Fantasies,
think-
or are they new?
You're asking.
I've seen
There's
Gladiator
so
somewhere
many.
else.
Yeah, I feel like they do exist.
I might be wrong about that.
There's so many games. I don't remember. But
I think Tactics has a lot of weird jobs.
Tactics
that might-
does. I wouldn't put
Okay.
when you say other Final Fantasies, I would think only the numbered ones. But yes,
I was thinking the numbered
for
ones.
going for the
Yeah.
full extended universe. I think everything has existed as anything. It's impossible. Okay, yes. So Necromancer and Spectral Ink Mage. Spectral Ink Mage, definitely not something I think is hinting at
No.
anything. The only thing
As-
that I can lean into is Necromancer, but I won't lean in too far because it's already too difficult a job to implement because of things, because of laws and shit for other countries. I will never forget World of Warcraft's bread, where they replaced skeletons with bread. Skeleton with bread. There's a dungeon full of bread in World of Warcraft.
So actually,
Yeah.
how about that skeleton thing for China?
Mm-hmm.
That turns out not to be true.
What?
It is not like, is it right? It's not like a bad thing to put skeletons in things.
No, it's the implication. Isn't it death?
No, well, I mean it sort of is, but it's not like an illegal thing, and it's not like
They can't show exposed bones because I remember they had to reskin all the zombies so that they were like whole. They didn't show their bones and shit. I remember the texture update for it.
I think I might be wrong about this, but I do know that the whole skeleton thing was not like an actual big deal. It was more like a bureaucratic thing.
Uh-huh.
For I think it's preventing some kind of release of another game, something like that.
Okay.
But stuff like that is not much of an impact these days.
Okay. These days. I would almost think it would be worse these days. But okay. All right. Well, I just think just the fact that there's something there that they wouldn't want to even tempt it in case something comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's...
Regarding-
yeah, go on.
Regarding the bosses in the Hero's Gauntlet, I just feel as if they're just showing us jobs that we're not going to get.
Yeah.
Because they think they're too similar to things we already have, or
Yeah.
they're impossible to implement, like
Yes.
Necromancer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a fun look at... Yeah, just enjoy the jobs we can't get. Have a look.
Yeah, it's just like saying these are things that existed on alternate worlds.
Yeah.
Maybe if our game was set on those worlds, you would have gotten them. But
Yeah.
no, you get ninja, you get warrior, and you get black mage, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like fun to be like, hey, here's some stuff we can make with some of the assets we have.
Mm-hmm.
I would not call it a tease for stuff coming. They're just having some fun. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this. If you look at the fucking Berserker or whatever, he's just using a Dark Knight sword.
Yeah.
For
Yes. Yeah.
It's just, it's neat.
Yeah. The only job that I can see from the patch is Apothecary as like a chemist type, but that's not in the dungeon. But I feel like that was the closest thing to a tease. Okay, well that's the show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember, if you're watching live, to stay tuned for the post show. Remember to follow on Twitter at SpeakersXIV, twitch.tv/SpeakersOfIreland, YouTube.com/SpeakersXIV, !Discord in chat if you want to join our Discord server. If you're watching on demand, link is in the description. If you like what you see, keep viewing me. Okay, we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Remember to stay tuned for the post show. It's coming up. Goodbye.